Hola. Okay, so one of the things that those of us who teach Spanish 3 have noticed as we've been reading your diarios is we still are seeing some confusion or uncertainty as to how to best use gustar, how to conjugate gustar correctly, and how to conjugate similar verbs correctly. So what you have here is just a review of how to conjugate gustar en el presente, el pretérito, y en el imperfecto. El imperfecto, because even though we're not doing el imperfecto just yet, we will be getting into it in our next unit and doing el pretérito, y el imperfecto, preterite and the imperfect together, how they're both used, etc., etc. So best to just make sure that you see a little bit of it here so you start getting accustomed to it. You may hear my dog or dogs in the background, the little jangly noises. So if you do, just be aware, that's what the extra noises are at this point in time. My little dog or my big dog, more likely the little one, okay? So gustar is a really, really, really irregular verb. It conjugates very differently from other verbs you've seen. And there are some other verbs that are conjugate similarly to gustar. One of the reasons why gustar is so odd is that it actually doesn't mean to like. We translate it as meaning to like, but that's not actually what it means. It actually means to be pleasing. So for example, if I were to say, me gusta la paella, it would actually be saying paella pleases me or paella is pleasing to me. And that's not the way we speak in English. We'd say something more along the lines of, I like paella. So that's why we say gustar means to like. It's the closest thing that Spanish has to the English verb like, even though it doesn't exactly mean to like. So aside from that, one of the really wonky things about gustar is that it only has two conjugations in each tense. So it has a singular conjugation and a plural conjugation. So en el presente, you'll notice that the singular conjugation is gusta and the plural conjugation is gustan. En el pretérito, you'll notice that the singular conjugation is gustó and the plural conjugation is gustaron. And in the imperfecto, the singular conjugation is gustaba and the plural conjugation is gustaban. So, since there are only two conjugations, we don't decide how to use which one based on something like a subject pronoun, which is what you're used to. The subject pronouns being yo, tú, él, ella, usted. So we don't even think about those when it comes to gustar at all, which is something else that makes it really bizarre, okay? So the question becomes then initially, how do you know whether to use gusta or gustan? And the way to figure that out is you want to look at the word in Spanish that is right after the verb conjugation for your purposes now. So you want to look at or think about the word that's coming right after the verb conjugation, okay? So if that word right after your conjugation of gustar is a sustantivo singular or a singular noun, or el infinitivo de un verbo, the infinitive of a verb, which is the original AR, ER, or IR form, you use one of the singular conjugations, which would be gusta in the present, gusto en el pretérito, and gustaba en el imperfecto. If the word right after gustar is a sustantivo plural, so a plural noun or a plural adjective, because sometimes, of course, you can have an adjective before the noun, like, for example, muchos libros, a lot of books, you are going to use the plural form of gustar, which is gustan en el presente, gustaron en el pretérito, and gustaban en el imperfecto. So, another important thing to notice, and you see the angry little emoji face there because it drives me, this is one of my pet peeves, I'll be honest with you. And if you're guilty of doing it, don't worry, you're one of many, many students who have done so in the past, and we all figure it out with time, okay? But one of the biggest things to remember is that we do not ever, 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 ever just use yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, or ellos, ustedes with gustar. And also don't use proper names. So proper names, like you can't say Carmen Gusta. It doesn't exist, okay? Or you can't say Señora Gusta. It doesn't exist. So be aware, please. Those do not exist with gustar. Don't use them. Don't use them. Don't use them. And there is a way to like clarify about whom we're talking specifically, especially if we're dealing with something like lay or lace, and you'll see it on some homework assignments. But for right now, what you really want to be aware of, do not use these subject pronouns with gustar, ever. So here's the thing. Since you don't use subject pronouns, what you do put before the verb are different type of pronouns that are technically called indirect object pronouns. You may or may not have seen these last year in Spanish too. If you did, great, you're a little familiar with these. If you didn't, no te preocupes, no worries. We will be working with these later on in the year, okay? And we have me, te, le, nos, os, les. So what they actually mean are to me, to you, to him, her, or you, to us, to all of you, and to them, or to all of you. That's what these indirect object pronouns actually mean. You don't really need to go into that little nitty-gritty detail now, but you do want to be aware that this is what you use instead of subject pronouns before the verb gustar, which, remember, means to be pleasing. So to make sure you can put everything together, in the middle of page 2, you want to fill out your first conjugation chart, which is en el presente, okay? So I like, singular form me gusta, plural me gustan. You like, singular, te gusta, plural, te gusta. He or she likes or you like, singular, le gusta, plural, le gustan. We like, singular, nos gusta, plural, nos gustan. You all like, singular, os gusta, plural, os gustan. And they like or you all like, singular, les gusta, plural, les gustan. Now, before you continue, I am going to ask that you pause the video and complete the 5 translations on the bottom of Página 2. Do not call me over to check on these yet unless you really want to do so at this point in time. We will be going over these in class on the next time we meet, which is going to be, Tuesday or Wednesday next week, depending on who you are. So be aware. If you're really confused and want me to check over your work to make sure you're on the right track, by all means, call me over. Otherwise, we will be going over these next week. And once you're set, vas a seguir. You're going to continue, okay? On Página 3, we have our past tense conjugations of gustar. So, for example, in el pretérito, I liked, singular, me gustó, plural, me gustaron. You liked, singular, te gustó, plural, te gustaron. He or she liked or you liked, formal, singular, le gustó, plural, le gustaron. We liked, singular, nos gustó, plural, nos gustaron. You all liked, this is the one that's only used in Spain, singular, os gustó, plural, os gustaron. And they liked or you all liked, singular, les gustó, plural, les gustaron. Be aware here the preterite tenses are generally for you to have as a reference, the preterite tense and the imperfect as a reference. So hopefully this packet becomes generally a reference for you to use as time goes on, okay? En el imperfecto, tenemos, I used to like, singular me gustaba, plural me gustaban. You used to like, informal, singular te gustaba, plural te gustaban. He or she or you, formal, used to like, singular le gustaba, plural le gustaban. We used to like, singular nos gustaba, plural nos gustaban. You all used to like, in España, singular os gustaba, plural os gustaban. And they or you all used to like, singular les gustaba, plural les gustaban. Okay. Para terminar, these other verbs follow that same pattern of conjugation. So for example, in front of the verb, you're going to have me, te, le, nos, os, or les. And then just 2 conjugations for each verb. So I am going to, first off, want to make sure that you write down the meanings. It's important, but also the singular and plural forms. I'll be going over out loud for you as well. So encantar means to love doing something or to love a place or to love a thing. Your singular form is encanta, plural encantan. Aburrir is to bore, forma singular, aburre, forma plural, aburren. And these are all in the present tense, by the way, just, once again, for the sake of a quick reference. Molestar means to bother or annoy. And singular, you have molesta, plural, molestan. Interesar, to interest. Interesa, singular. Interesan, plural. Importar, to be important. Importa, singular. Importan, plural. Fascinar, to fascinate. Fascina, singular. Fascinan, plural. Doler, there is an O to UE stem change here as well. To hurt. Singular, duele. Plural, duelen. And faltar, to lack or to be missing. Singular, falta. Plural, faltan. So also, please be aware that you need to, at the top of Página 4, on the back of this last bit of notes, complete the practice activities. Once again, if you want assistance, I'm happy to help. We will go over this during our next class. So keep that in mind. Y muchas gracias. Buena suerte.